The freezing rain of Seattle felt like tiny knives hitting Esther's skin. She huddled closer to the dirty brick wall of the alley, pulling her thin, torn sweater over her knees. Her dark skin was covered in fresh bruises, turning deep purple in the harsh light of a flickering street lamp. Just 3 hours ago, she had a home. She had a family. She was the rightful heir to the massive Vance shipping empire. But then her biological brothers, Liam and Cole, dragged her to the front door and threw her down the concrete steps. They believed Chloe. They always believed Chloe. Her adopted sister had cried fake tears, claiming Esther stole millions from the company accounts and pushed her down the stairs. The lies were so stupid, but her brothers bought every single word. "Don't ever come back here, you greedy bitch," Liam had yelled, throwing her small bag of clothes into the mud. "You are no sister of mine." Esther shivered, her teeth hitting together so hard her jaw ached. She squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the memory. She had tried so hard to make them love her. She had worked 80-hour weeks for their company, but they only loved the pale, sweet-acting adopted girl who had stolen her life. A loud splash pulled Esther out of her dark thoughts. A massive, sleek black car pulled up right at the edge of the alley. The headlights blinded her for a second. She put a shaking hand up to shield her eyes. The heavy car doors opened. 3 men stepped out into the pouring rain. They didn't even flinch at the cold. They wore dark, expensive suits that fit perfectly. The man in the middle walked straight toward her. His dark eyes locked onto her shivering form. He was tall, with broad shoulders and sharp features. Kwon Hyun-woo, the most ruthless CEO in the city. The man her brothers feared more than anyone else. Behind him stood his 2 partners, Jin and Marcus, men who controlled half the tech and real estate in the country. Hyun-woo stopped right in front of her. He took off his heavy, warm wool coat and dropped it over her shaking shoulders. It smelled like expensive cologne and mint. "They actually threw you out like trash," Hyun-woo said, his voice deep and rough. "Those stupid fucks." Esther pulled the warm coat tighter around herself. "What do you want, Hyun-woo?" she whispered, her voice cracking from the cold. Hyun-woo crouched down so he was right at her eye level. He didn't look at her with pity. He looked at her with pure, burning anger meant for the people who hurt her. He held out his large, warm hand. "I want to make a deal," he said softly. "You can stay here and freeze in the dirt, or you can take my hand, come home with us, and I will give you everything you need to burn their whole damn empire to the ground. Your choice." Is your heart racing waiting to see if Esther takes Hyun-woo's hand? Don't just cross your fingers and ask for a part 2 in the comments. Please leave a like if you are enjoying the video, as it helps the algorithm push more stories like this to you. Also, let us know where you are watching from in the comments below. Join the exclusive Timeless K-Love membership on Gumroad, where you don't just ask for the next chapter, you demand it. Our members call the shots and decide which cliffhangers get resolved first. Support the channel by grabbing me a coffee or becoming a member through the link below, and take control of the romance. Esther stared at his hand. It was large, strong, and totally steady. She thought about Liam's cold eyes. She thought about Chloe's nasty little smile as the front door slammed shut. A hot wave of pure anger finally cut through the freezing cold in her chest. She reached out and grabbed his hand. Hyun-woo's fingers wrapped tightly around hers. He pulled her up easily, like she weighed nothing at all. Her legs were numb and she stumbled forward. Before she could hit the wet ground, Marcus was there. The tall, broad-shouldered man caught her arm, gently steadying her. "We got you," Marcus said, his voice surprisingly gentle for a man who tore apart companies for fun. "Let's get out of this damn rain." They guided her to the back of the massive car. The inside was incredibly warm. The seats were made of soft, cream-colored leather. Hyun-woo sat right beside her, while Jin and Marcus sat across from them. As soon as the doors shut, the loud noise of the rain faded away. The car started moving, smooth and fast. Jin, a man with sharp eyes and a quiet vibe, opened a small compartment. He pulled out a thick white towel and handed it to her. "Dry your hair. You are going to get sick." "Thank you," Esther muttered. She rubbed the towel over her wet hair. Her hands were still shaking. "Why are you doing this? My brothers hate you. They will go crazy if they find out you picked me up." Hyun-woo leaned back against the seat. He unbuttoned his suit jacket. That is exactly why I am doing it. Your brothers are idiots. They have a brilliant woman who practically ran their shipping lines for the last 3 years, and they threw her in the trash over a crying fake. She set me up, Esther said, her voice turning bitter. Chloe moved the money. She framed me, and when I tried to show them the files, she threw herself down the stairs and said I pushed her. They didn't even look at my proof. Liam just grabbed me by the neck and dragged me out. Fuck them, Marcus growled. He poured a small glass of dark liquor from the car's minibar and handed it to her. Drink this. It will warm you up. Esther took the glass and drank it in one go. It burned her throat, but it sent a rush of heat straight to her stomach. She coughed a little, handing the glass back. They chose the wrong sister, Hyun-woo said quietly. He was watching her very closely. They threw away a diamond to keep a useless rock, but that works for me. We need the Vance shipping lines to finish our trade network. Your brothers refuse to sell, so we are going to take it from them, piece by piece, and you are going to help us do it. Esther looked at him. You want me to help you ruin my own family? They aren't your family anymore, Jin said flatly. Family doesn't leave you in an alley in the winter. The words hit her hard. She wanted to argue. A small, stupid part of her still wanted Liam and Cole to realize their mistake. She wanted them to come looking for her, to apologize, to hug her and say they loved her. But the bruises on her arms and the stinging scrape on her knee told the truth. They didn't care. They never did. Okay, Esther whispered. She looked at Hyun-woo. I'll do it. I will help you tear them apart. Hyun-woo smiled. It was a dark, dangerous smile. Good girl. The car pulled into a private underground garage. It was brightly lit and filled with expensive cars. They took a private elevator all the way to the top floor. When the doors opened, Esther stepped into the most beautiful apartment she had ever seen. The living room was massive, with huge glass windows showing the shiny, wet city of Seattle far below. A giant fireplace was already burning bright and warm. Marcus, get some food ordered, something hot and filling, Hyun-woo ordered as he took off his suit jacket. He looked at Esther. Jin will show you to the guest room. Take a hot shower. Take as long as you need. There are clean clothes in the closet. Esther just nodded. She was too tired to talk. Jin led her down a wide hallway to a large bedroom. The bed looked like a cloud. He pointed to the bathroom. Lock the door if you want, Jin said softly. You are safe here, Esther. Nobody is going to touch you, I swear. Thank you, Jin, she said. She went into the bathroom and locked the door. The floor was heated. She stripped off her wet, ruined clothes and stepped into the huge glass shower. She turned the water on hot. The hot spray hit her cold skin, making it sting and tingle. She stood there, letting the water wash away the dirt, the mud, and the cold. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking again. The reality of what happened was finally crashing down on her. She had nothing. No money, no phone, no family. She slid down the glass wall and sat on the wet floor. She pulled her knees to her chest and cried. She cried for the little girl who just wanted her big brothers to love her. She cried for all the late nights she worked to make their company successful, only for them to give all the credit to Chloe. She cried until there were no tears left. And then, a hard, cold anger settled in her chest. She stood up. She washed her hair and scrubbed her skin until it was clean. She turned off the water and wrapped herself in a huge, fluffy white towel. She walked into the bedroom and opened the closet. It was filled with clothes with the tags still on them. She grabbed a pair of soft black sweatpants and a dark gray long-sleeve shirt. They were a little big, but they felt so soft and warm. She dried her hair, took a deep breath, and walked out of the room. She followed the smell of food back to the living room. The 3 men were sitting around a huge dining table. The table was covered in food. Steaming bowls of soup, thick cuts of steak, roasted potatoes, and fresh bread. Hyun-woo looked up as she walked in. His eyes scanned her from head to toe, checking to make sure she was okay. He pulled out the chair right next to him. Sit, eat, he told her. Esther sat down. Marcus pushed a large bowl of hot soup toward her. She picked up the spoon and started eating. She ate fast. She hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. The men didn't push her to talk. They just ate their food and made sure her plate was never empty. Jin put an extra piece of steak on her plate. Marcus refilled her water glass. It was weird. These 3 ruthless billionaires were treating her better in 1 hour than her brothers had in 5 years. When she finally put her spoon down, she leaned back in her chair with a heavy sigh. That was really good, thank you. Hyun-woo wiped his mouth with a napkin and leaned forward. He rested his arms on the table. Do you feel better? Yes, Esther said. She met his dark eyes. I am ready, tell me the plan. Hyun-woo smiled again. Tomorrow morning, the stock market opens. Your brothers are trying to buy a huge warehouse district near the docks. It is a $50 million deal. They need that space to store their new shipments. I know about that deal, Esther said. I did all the paperwork for it. Liam is supposed to sign the final papers at noon. We are going to buy it right out from under them, Marcus said with a wide grin. We are going to offer $70 million in cash at 8 in the morning. The sellers won't be able to say no. Esther's eyes widened. Liam will go insane. He already promised the clients he had the storage space. If he doesn't get it, the clients will pull out. The company will lose hundreds of millions. Exactly, Jin said, taking a sip of his wine. We hit them where it hurts, their money and their pride. But they will know someone messed with them, Esther warned. Liam is stupid, but Cole is smart. Cole will start digging. Hyun-woo reached out and gently touched her hand on the table. His thumb rubbed slowly over her knuckles. The touch sent a strange shiver up her arm. Let him dig. By the time he figures out it was us, it will be too late. But we need your help, Esther. You know their passwords. You know their hidden accounts. You know all the dirty little secrets Chloe has been hiding. Esther looked down at his hand covering hers. She thought about Chloe's smug face. She thought about Liam's hands grabbing her neck. I know everything, Esther whispered. Chloe has a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands. She has been taking money from the charity fund for 2 years. The 3 men looked at each other. A dark, dangerous energy filled the room. Holy shit, Marcus laughed. That is corporate fraud. If that gets out, she goes to prison. We won't just put her in prison, Hyun-woo said, his voice cold and hard. We will expose her to the whole world. We will make sure your brothers see exactly what they chose over you. But Esther, you have to be strong. When we start this fire, they will come crawling to you. They will beg you to fix it. They will say they love you. He squeezed her hand tightly. Will you be strong enough to watch them burn? The bright morning sun hit Esther's face, waking her up. She blinked, staring at the white ceiling. For 5 seconds, she felt normal. Then the heavy, crushing weight of yesterday crashed down on her. The rain, the mud, Liam's hands shoving her down the stairs. She sat up fast, her heart hammering in her chest. She looked around the huge, perfectly clean guest room. It was not a bad dream. She was really in the penthouse of Kwon Hyun-woo, the most dangerous man in the city. She pushed the soft blankets off and stood up. Her body ached. The bruises on her arms and legs were dark purple and sensitive to the touch. She walked into the bathroom and splashed cold water on her face. She looked at herself in the large mirror. Her dark skin looked dull, and her eyes were red and swollen from crying. But behind the sadness, she saw something else. A hard, cold spark. She was done crying for people who threw her away like garbage. Esther put on the same soft black sweatpants and gray shirt from the night before. She walked out of the bedroom and down the long hallway. The smell of fresh coffee and fried bacon filled the air. She followed the smell to the massive open kitchen and living area. Hyun-woo, Jin, and Marcus were already awake. They did not look like men who had stayed up late planning corporate warfare. They wore sharp, perfectly ironed suits. Marcus had his jacket off, exposing a tight black vest. He was cooking bacon on the huge stove. Jin was sitting at the kitchen island, his fingers flying across the keyboard of a sleek silver laptop. Hyun-woo stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city. He held a black coffee mug. When he heard her footsteps, he turned around. His dark eyes scanned her face, checking for tears. He found none. A small, satisfied smile touched his lips. Morning, Hyun-woo said, his voice deep and smooth. There is coffee in the pot, drink up. We have a big day. Esther walked to the counter and poured herself a cup of dark coffee. Her hands were steady today. What time is it? She asked. It is 7:45, Jin answered without looking up from his screen. The sellers for the warehouse district open their office at 8. Liam's meeting with them to sign the final papers is at noon. Marcus flipped a piece of bacon with a metal fork. Liam is going to have a really bad lunch. Esther took a sip of the bitter coffee. Have you sent the offer yet? I have the email typed out and ready, Jin said. $70 million. It is $20 million more than Liam is offering. And we are offering pure cash, transferred by 10 this morning. The sellers are a group of old men who just want to retire. They will not say no to an extra $20 million in pure cash. Esther walked over and stood next to Jin. She looked at the screen. The numbers were huge. She felt a tight squeeze in her stomach. If you do this, Liam's 3 cargo ships from China will arrive on Friday with nowhere to unload. Those ships are carrying smart electronics. They need climate-controlled storage. If they stay on the water, the salt and humidity will start ruining the cargo in a few days. The clients will sue Vance Shipping for breach of contract. Hyun-woo walked over and stood right beside her. He was so close she could smell his mint and cedar cologne. How much will the lawsuits cost them? He asked softly. At least $30 million, Esther said, looking up at him. Plus the daily fees for keeping the ships at the docks. It will bleed their accounts dry. They will have to take out a massive loan just to stay afloat. Good, Hyun-woo said. He looked at Jin. It is 8 o'clock, send it. Jin hit the enter key. The sound of the keyboard click seemed to echo in the quiet room. Offer sent, Jin said. Now we wait. Marcus brought a plate of bacon, eggs, and toast to the island and pushed it toward Esther. Eat. You need your strength to watch your brothers cry. Esther sat down and picked up a piece of toast. The wait was awful. Every minute felt like an hour. She chewed her food, but she barely tasted it. What if the sellers were loyal to Liam? What if they called Liam and gave him a chance to match the price? Liam would drain the company's emergency funds to do it. At 8:15, Jin's cell phone buzzed on the counter. The loud noise made Esther jump. Jin picked it up and put it on speaker. This is Jin. Mr. Jin, this is Robert from the Harbor Real Estate Group. A nervous, older voice said through the speaker. We just received your email. Is this offer real? $70 million in cash. It is very real, Robert, Jin said, his voice completely flat and calm. If you agree right now, the money will be in your account in exactly 1 hour. We will send our lawyers to your office at 9 with the papers. But this offer is only good for the next 5 minutes. If you want to wait for Liam Vance, we will pull our money and walk away. There was a tense silence on the phone. Esther stopped breathing. She squeezed her hands into tight fists under the table. We accept, Robert said quickly. We will cancel the noon meeting with Mr. Vance. Send your lawyers. The warehouse district is yours. Smart choice, Jin said and hung up the phone. A loud, rough laugh burst out of Marcus. He slammed his hand on the counter. Yes, oh, those stupid fucks are going to lose their minds. Hyun-woo did not laugh. He looked at Esther. Step 1 is done. They are bleeding. Now we watch them realize it. Watch them, Esther asked, confused. How? Hyun-woo reached over and tapped a few keys on Jin's laptop. The screen changed from numbers and emails to a live video feed. It was a high-quality camera angle looking down into a large, expensive room. Esther gasped. It was the main conference room at Vance Shipping. I pay their head of building security a lot of money to look the other way, Hyun-woo explained, his voice low. He installed hidden cameras in Liam and Cole's offices last month. I always like to keep an eye on my enemies, but today it is for you. Esther stared at the screen. Liam was sitting at the head of the long glass table. He looked arrogant and confident, wearing a dark blue suit. Cole was sitting next to him, tapping a pen on a legal pad. They looked so normal. They looked exactly like the brothers who used to buy her ice cream when she was little. A sharp pain hit Esther's chest. Part of her wanted to reach into the screen and ask them why. Why did they believe a liar over her? Suddenly, the heavy wooden door of the conference rooms swung open. The video feed had perfect audio. The sound of a panicked secretary filled the room. Mr. Vance, the secretary yelled, running into the room with a phone in her hand. It is Robert from the Real Estate Group. He says the deal is off. Liam stood up so fast his heavy leather chair crashed to the floor. What the fuck are you talking about? The papers are ready. I am signing them at noon. Cole grabbed the phone from the secretary and put it to his ear. Robert, what is going on? We have a verbal agreement. Esther leaned closer to the screen. She could hear Robert's tiny voice coming through Cole's phone. I am sorry, Cole. Someone just bought the property with a cash offer we could not refuse. The deal is done. Do not come at noon. Who? Liam screamed, his face turning bright red. Who the hell bought it? They wish to remain private, Robert said, and the line went dead. Cole slowly lowered the phone. He looked at Liam. It's gone. The warehouse is gone. No, Liam roared. He grabbed a heavy glass water pitcher from the table and threw it against the wall. It shattered into 100 pieces. Water went everywhere. The secretary screamed and ran out of the room. My ships arrive on Friday. Where the fuck am I supposed to put $30 million worth of electronics? They will rot on the water. Calm down, Cole said, his voice shaking. We need to find another storage space right now. There is no other space, Liam yelled, kicking the broken chair. Esther looked for weeks. That was the only place big enough with climate control. We are screwed. The clients are going to rip us apart. Just then, Chloe walked into the room. She was wearing a soft pink dress, looking small and innocent. She put her hands over her mouth, acting shocked at the broken glass. Liam, what is wrong? Chloe asked in her high, sweet voice. She walked over and tried to put her hand on his arm. Please don't be mad. Liam violently pushed her hand away. Get away from me, Chloe. We just lost the storage deal. The company is going to lose millions. Chloe looked scared, but Esther saw the slight narrowing of her eyes. Chloe didn't care about the company. She only cared about the money she could steal from it. But you are so smart, Liam, Chloe said softly. You will fix it. You always do. And at least you don't have Esther here causing more problems. Liam rubbed his face with both hands, looking exhausted and desperate. Esther would have never let this happen. She had backup plans for her backup plans. Damn it. Esther felt a tear slide down her cheek. She didn't want to cry, but she couldn't stop it. Seeing them panic, seeing Liam actually miss her skills, it tore her heart right down the middle. She wiped her face quickly, embarrassed. A large, warm hand landed on her shoulder. Hyun-woo stepped behind her. He didn't mock her for crying. He just stood there, a solid wall of heat and strength at her back. They don't miss you, Esther, Hyun-woo whispered, his mouth close to her ear. They miss what you did for them. They miss the money you made them. Look at them. They are weak without you. Esther stared at the screen. Liam was yelling at Cole to call every warehouse in the state. Cole was furiously typing on his phone. Chloe was just standing there, useless, pretending to be sad. Hyun-woo was right. Liam didn't say, I miss my sister. He said, Esther would have never let this happen. She was just a tool to them, a tool they threw away because Chloe told a pretty lie. The sadness in her chest burned away, leaving nothing but hot, bright anger. Turn it off, Esther said, her voice hard. Hyun-woo tapped a key, and the screen went black. The sudden quiet in the penthouse was heavy. Jin and Marcus were watching her carefully, waiting to see if she would break, waiting to see if she would beg them to give the warehouse back to her brothers. Esther turned around and looked Hyun-woo right in the eyes. You said we are going to tear them apart piece by piece. That is the plan, Hyun-woo agreed, his eyes shining with dark approval. Then let's take the next piece, Esther said. She walked over to Jin and pulled out the chair next to him. She sat down and pulled the laptop toward her. Chloe has a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands. She set it up 2 years ago under a fake shell company named Blue Ocean Consulting. Jin raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. He cracked his knuckles and slid his chair closer to hers. Blue Ocean Consulting. Okay, let's dig. Do you know the routing numbers? No, but I know the password she uses for everything, Esther said. It is the date of the day Liam and Cole adopted her. She thinks she is so smart, but she is lazy. If you can get into her personal email, you will find the bank statements. Give me the date, Jin said, opening a new black screen filled with green code. Esther told him the date her life started falling apart. The date her brothers brought a stranger into their home and gave her all the love that belonged to Esther. Jin typed incredibly fast. Lines of code rushed down the screen. Marcus leaned against the counter, eating his bacon and watching the show. She has terrible security, Jin muttered. I am through her firewalls, I am in her email. He clicked a few times. Searching for Blue Ocean. Bingo. Jin opened a document on the screen. It was a digital bank statement. Holy shit, Marcus said, choking on a piece of toast. He pointed at the screen. Look at that bottom line. Esther leaned in. The account balance was $4.2 million. Where did she get $4 million? Hyunwoo asked, his voice cold. He walked up behind Esther again, resting his hands on the back of her chair. The Vance Charity Fund, Esther said, feeling sick to her stomach. It is a fund our father set up to help homeless kids in the city. Liam put Chloe in charge of it because he said she had a gentle heart. She has been stealing the donation money for 2 years. The room went totally silent. Even men like Hyunwoo, who destroyed companies for fun, had rules. You don't steal from kids. She threw you out in the freezing rain, and she steals from homeless children, Marcus growled, his hands turning into fists. I am going to enjoy breaking her. We are not going to break her with our hands, Hyunwoo said, staring at the screen. We are going to use the law. We are going to make sure every news station in the country gets these bank statements. Not yet, Esther said suddenly. The 3 men looked at her. If we leak it now, Liam will just use his money to hire great lawyers and cover it up, Esther explained, her mind working fast. She felt awake for the first time in days. The strategy of the boardroom was her natural element. Liam has a lot of powerful friends. He will claim it was an accounting error. He will protect her. So what do we do? Jin asked, fully treating her as an equal partner now. We wait until Liam has no money to protect her, Esther said, a cruel, dark smile pulling at her lips. He is about to lose $30 million on the ships. Let him bleed. Let him panic. We wait until the company is totally broke. Then we leak the files. When the police come for Chloe, Liam won't have a single dollar to bail her out. He will have to watch her go to jail, knowing he ruined his company for a thief. Hyunwoo laughed. It was a dark, rich sound that sent a shiver down Esther's spine. He leaned down, his face so close to hers that his lips almost brushed her cheek. You are a monster, Esther, Hyunwoo whispered, his tone filled with deep respect. And I absolutely love it. The next 3 days felt like a fever dream. Esther barely left the kitchen island in the penthouse. Jin had set up a second silver laptop just for her, and she spent hours pulling up every hidden file, every secret contract, and every weak point in the Vance shipping empire. She knew exactly which clients were angry. She knew exactly which truck drivers hated Liam. She fed all of this information directly to Hyunwoo and his partners. They moved like sharks in the water, taking her information and using it to slowly bleed her brothers dry. They bought up smaller storage units so Liam had nowhere else to turn. They bribed port officials to delay Liam's emergency phone calls. It was cruel, it was dirty, and Esther loved every single second of it. Late on Thursday night, the penthouse was quiet. Jin and Marcus had finally gone to sleep. Only a single lamp was on in the kitchen. Esther was staring at the bright screen, rubbing her tired eyes. She wore one of Hyunwoo's large black dress shirts. It swallowed her small frame, the sleeves rolled up past her elbows. She heard quiet, heavy footsteps behind her. Hyunwoo walked into the kitchen. He was wearing dark sweatpants and no shirt. His chest and stomach were covered in thick, hard muscle and dark ink. A huge, scary dragon tattoo wrapped around his left shoulder and down his arm. He looked dangerous. He walked right up to her chair and set a glass of cold water on the desk. You need to sleep, Esther, Hyunwoo said, his voice low and rough in the quiet room. I am almost done mapping out Cole's personal investments, Esther whispered. She leaned back in her chair and looked up at him. If Vance shipping goes down, Cole will try to use his own money to save it. We need to freeze his personal accounts first. Hyunwoo did not look at the computer screen. He was looking at her. He reached out slowly. His large, rough fingers gently brushed the side of her jaw. There was a dark, ugly bruise there from where she had hit the concrete stairs. His touch was so light, but it sent a hot, heavy shiver straight down her spine. "Does it still hurt?" he asked, his dark eyes totally focused on the bruise. "Only when I try to smile," Esther answered softly. Her heart was beating entirely too fast. Hyun-woo leaned down, his face stopping just an inch from hers. "Then we will just have to make sure you only smile when you are watching them cry." Are you screaming at your screen waiting for Esther and Hyun-woo to finally kiss? Don't just cross your fingers and ask for a part 2 in the comments. Please leave a like if you are enjoying the video, as it helps the algorithm push more stories like this to you. Also, rate this slow burn tension from 1 to 10 in the comments below. Join the exclusive Timeless K-Love membership on Gumroad, where you don't just ask for the next chapter, you demand it. Our members call the shots and decide which cliffhangers get resolved first. Support the channel by grabbing me a coffee or becoming a member through the link below, and take control of the romance. Esther could not look away from his eyes. She could feel the heat radiating off his bare chest. She wanted to lean forward just 1 inch and press her lips against his, but Hyun-woo slowly pulled his hand away. He stepped back, giving her space to breathe. "Go to sleep, Esther," he ordered softly. "Tomorrow is Friday. The ships arrive at dawn. You will want to be awake for the show." He turned and walked back down the dark hallway. Esther let out a shaky breath, her whole body feeling hot and tense. She closed the laptop and finally went to her room. By Friday morning, the gray clouds over Seattle broke open, dumping a heavy, freezing rain over the city. Esther woke up to the smell of expensive coffee and the sound of the news playing loudly in the living room. She threw off the blankets, quickly brushed her teeth, and walked out. Jin, Marcus, and Hyun-woo were standing around the massive television screen. They were all wearing sharp, custom-made suits. Marcus held a tablet, swiping through screens of numbers. "Look who is awake," Marcus said with a dark grin. He pointed at the TV. "Your brothers are having a very bad morning." Esther looked at the screen. A news reporter was standing at the Seattle shipping docks. Behind her, 3 massive cargo ships were sitting in the gray, chopping water. They were not moving toward the docks. "Breaking news this morning," the reporter said, holding onto her umbrella as the wind whipped her hair. "Vance Shipping is facing a massive crisis. 3 of their largest cargo ships, carrying an estimated $30 million in smart electronics, have been denied entry to the port. Port Authority states that Vance Shipping failed to secure the required climate-controlled storage for the goods. Because the electronics cannot be left in the open rain, the ships are forced to stay on the water." The screen cut to a video of Liam. He was standing outside his office building, surrounded by angry reporters. He looked awful. His tie was loose, his hair was a mess, and his face was pale and sweaty. "Mr. Vance, is it true the clients are already filing a massive lawsuit against you?" a reporter yelled, shoving a microphone in his face. "No comment," Liam snapped, pushing the microphone away. "We are handling the storage issue. Everything is under control." "Mr. Vance, your company's stock has dropped 20% in the last hour. Are you going bankrupt?" another reporter screamed. Liam looked like he was going to punch the reporter. "Get out of my way," he yelled, shoving past the cameras and running into the glass building. Esther watched him run away like a coward. A sick, twisted feeling of joy twisted in her stomach. 2 days ago, he was a king throwing her out into the trash. Today, he was a rat running from the rain. "The stock is actually down 25% now," Jin said, typing fast on his laptop. "People are panicking. The clients are dumping their shares because they know the electronics will be ruined by Sunday. The humidity on the water is already getting into the shipping containers." "Buy the shares," Hyun-woo ordered calmly. He took a sip of his black coffee. "Buy every single share they drop. I want 10% of Vance Shipping by noon." "Already doing it," Jin said, not looking up from his screen. "We are buying it for pennies. Liam is practically giving his company away." Esther walked closer to the TV. "Cole will try to call an emergency board meeting. He will try to calm the older investors down. He will probably ask them for a cash loan to bribe a warehouse owner somewhere else." He won't get a loan, Marcus laughed. Nobody lends money to a sinking ship. Hyun-woo turned to Esther. His dark eyes dragged over her oversized sweatpants and messy hair. We are going to that board meeting. Esther froze. What? They will never let us in the building. We just bought 10% of their company, Esther, Hyun-woo said, a cruel smile on his face. We are legally required to be at an emergency shareholder meeting, and I want them to see exactly who is burning them to the ground. But I can't go like this, Esther said, suddenly feeling very small. The thought of facing Liam and Cole again made her hands shake. Not because she was sad, but because she was so angry she thought she might explode. I know, Hyun-woo said. He snapped his fingers. The front door to the penthouse opened. A tall, thin woman walked in carrying 3 massive black garment bags. Behind her, 2 men rolled in a rack of shoes and jewelry. This is Madame Rosa, Hyun-woo said, gesturing to the woman. She dresses the most powerful women in the city. If you are going to walk into a war zone, you are not going to wear my old shirts. You are going to wear armor. Madame Rosa did not waste any time. She grabbed Esther by the arm and pulled her into the guest bedroom. For the next hour, Esther was pinned, tucked, and dressed. Madame Rosa threw away the sweatpants and forced her into a sharp, dark red power suit. The jacket fit perfectly, pulling in at her waist and making her shoulders look sharp and dangerous. Underneath, she wore a simple, black silk shirt. Rosa pulled Esther's thick, dark hair back into a tight, perfect bun at the base of her neck. She painted Esther's lips a deep, dark red and added sharp black liner to her eyes. When Rosa finally stepped back, Esther looked in the tall mirror. She gasped. She did not look like the tired, sad girl who cried in the alley. She did not look like the desperate sister begging for her brothers to love her. She looked like a billionaire. She looked cold, untouchable, and lethal. You look ready to kill someone, Rosa said with a satisfied nod. Keep your chin up. Do not look down at the floor. Esther walked out of the bedroom. The heavy click of her black designer heels echoed on the hardwood floor. The 3 men in the living room turned to look at her. Marcus let out a low whistle. Damn, remind me to never get on your bad side. Jin just nodded, an impressed look on his face. But Hyun-woo did not say anything at first. He walked slowly toward her, his dark eyes taking in every detail. He stopped right in front of her. He reached out and gently adjusted the collar of her dark red jacket. You look perfect, Hyun-woo said quietly, his voice rough. Are you ready to break them? Yes, Esther said, her voice completely steady. Let's go, he said. They took the private elevator down to the garage. A sleek, armored black SUV was waiting for them. Hyun-woo's personal driver, a massive man with scars on his neck, opened the door. Esther slid into the back seat, and Hyun-woo sat right beside her. The rain hammered against the dark windows as they drove through the city. The Vance shipping headquarters was a huge glass tower in the center of the business district. When the SUV pulled up to the front doors, the crowd of reporters was still there. Keep your head up, Hyun-woo whispered in her ear. Do not answer their questions. The driver opened the door. Hyun-woo stepped out first. The reporters immediately started shouting, but when they saw his face, the shouting stopped. Everyone in Seattle knew who Kwon Hyun-woo was. They knew he destroyed lives. The crowd physically backed away. Hyun-woo turned and held out his hand. Esther took it and stepped out into the rain. The flash of the cameras blinded her for a second, but she kept her chin high. She felt Hyun-woo's solid hand on the small of her back, guiding her forward. Jin and Marcus walked right behind them, looking like expensive, dangerous bodyguards. They walked through the front doors. The massive lobby was in total chaos. Phones were ringing off the hook. Secretaries were running around with stacks of paper. The head of security, a big man named Thomas, stepped in front of the elevator bank. Mr. Kwon, Thomas said, looking nervous. You are not allowed in this building. Only employees and board members. Jin stepped forward and shoved a thick folder into Thomas's chest. We just bought 10% of this failing trash pile. We are board members. Step aside before I buy your security company and fire you. Thomas swallowed hard, looked at the papers, and stepped out of the way. They got into the private elevator. Esther pressed the button for the top floor. Her heart was beating so loud she thought the men could hear it. She remembered the last time she was in this elevator. Liam had his hand wrapped around her arm, dragging her out while Chloe faked a crying fit. The elevator doors opened to the executive floor. The thick carpet absorbed the sound of their footsteps. They walked straight down the hallway toward the main boardroom. The heavy wooden double doors were closed. Esther could hear shouting coming from inside. It was Liam's voice. "I don't care what it costs. Sell the vacation homes. Sell the private jets. We need cash to get a warehouse today," Liam was screaming. Esther did not wait for Hyun-woo. She reached out and pushed both of the heavy wooden doors open. They hit the walls with a loud crash. The entire boardroom went dead silent. Liam was standing at the head of the long glass table, sweating through his shirt. Cole was sitting next to him, his head in his hands. Chloe was sitting in the corner, holding a tissue and looking perfectly sad. 10 older men, the senior investors, were sitting around the table looking angry and panicked. Everyone stared at the door. Liam's eyes went wide. His jaw dropped. He looked at Esther in her dark red power suit, and then he looked at the 3 terrifying billionaires standing right behind her. "Esther," Liam breathed out, sounding like he had just seen a ghost. "What the fuck are you doing here?" Esther walked slowly into the room. She did not look at the floor. She looked Liam dead in the eye. "I am here for the shareholder meeting, Liam," Esther said, her voice cold and loud enough for everyone to hear. "I own 10% of this company now, and I am voting to remove your ass as CEO." The heavy wooden doors of the boardroom slowly swung shut behind them, clicking loudly in the dead silence. Every single pair of eyes in the room was locked on Esther. The older men sitting around the long glass table looked completely confused. Liam looked like he was going to have a heart attack right there in his expensive blue suit. He stared at Esther, then at Hyun-woo, then back to Esther. His face went from pale white to bright, angry red in a matter of seconds. 10%, Liam finally choked out, his voice cracking. He slammed both of his hands down flat on the glass table. "Are you out of your damn mind, Esther? You don't own shit. I threw you out. You have no money, no power, and no right to be in this building." Esther did not flinch. She did not step back. She slowly walked toward the table, her black high heels clicking sharply against the floor. She stopped right across from Liam. She looked at his sweating face, noticing how the vein in his neck was popping out. He looked weak. He looked like a cornered animal. "I didn't buy the shares, Liam," Esther said, her voice completely smooth and calm. "My new partners bought them. When your stock crashed 25% this morning because you are a terrible leader, we bought every single share the panicked investors dropped. That makes us the largest minority shareholders in Vance Shipping." Cole stood up fast, his chair sliding back loudly. "Esther, wait, just stop for a second," he pleaded, holding his hands up like he was trying to calm a wild dog. "Let's talk about this privately. We are family. We can fix this without making a scene in front of the board." "Family?" Esther laughed. It was a cold, sharp sound that made Cole flinch. "Family does not drag their sister down the stairs by her hair. Family does not throw their sister into the freezing rain with nothing but a torn sweater. You are not my family, Cole. You are just a bad investment I am cutting ties with." Liam let out a loud, angry yell. He stepped around the table, his fists pulled back. He looked like he wanted to hit her right in the face. But before he could even take 2 steps, Hyun-woo moved. He was incredibly fast for a man his size. He stepped right in front of Esther, completely blocking her from Liam. Hyun-woo did not raise his fists. He just stood there, tall and wide, staring down at Liam with eyes so dark and dead they looked like empty holes. "Take one more step toward her," Hyun-woo whispered, his voice low and raspy. "I dare you. I will break both of your arms in front of your entire board of directors." Is your heart racing waiting to see if Liam is stupid enough to test Hyun-woo? Don't just cross your fingers and ask for a part 2 in the comments. Please leave a like if you are enjoying the video, as it helps the algorithm push more stories like this to you. Also, rate this intense boardroom showdown from 1 to 10 in the comments below. Join the exclusive Timeless K-Love membership on Gumroad, where you don't just ask for the next chapter, you demand it. Our members call the shots, and decide which cliffhangers get resolved first. Support the channel by grabbing me a coffee or becoming a member through the link below, and take control of the romance. Liam froze. He looked at Hyun-woo's wide chest, then at the dangerous, scarred face of the man who ruined lives for a living. Liam slowly stepped back, swallowing hard. He was a coward. He always had been. Esther stepped out from behind Hyun-woo, taking her place at the table again. She looked at the 10 older men sitting in the expensive leather chairs. These were the men who had funded her father's dreams. They were greedy, but they liked money more than they liked Liam. "Gentlemen," Esther said loudly, looking at each of them, "you are losing millions of dollars every single hour. 3 of your massive cargo ships are rotting in the freezing rain right outside because Liam failed to secure a simple storage warehouse. The clients are pulling their contracts. The stock is crashing. If you leave Liam in the CEO chair, this company will be totally bankrupt by Monday morning." An old man with gray hair and thick glasses leaned forward. "And what do you suggest we do, Esther? The warehouse we needed was bought by a private cash buyer. There is no other space." A dark, dangerous smile slowly spread across Esther's red lips. "I know, because I am the one who bought it." The entire room erupted into chaos. The old men started shouting at each other. Cole dropped his face into his hands, letting out a loud groan of defeat. He finally realized how badly they had been played. Liam stared at her, his mouth hanging open in pure shock. "You," Liam whispered, "you bought the warehouse district." "Yes," Esther said. She leaned over the table, getting right in his face. "I bought it for $70 million in cash. I bought it while you were busy trying to figure out how to cover up your massive mistakes. And I am willing to lease it to Vance Shipping so you can unload your electronics, but only on one condition." The gray-haired board member slammed his hand on the table to quiet the room. "What is the condition, Esther?" Esther stood up straight. She looked right at Liam. Liam steps down as CEO immediately. Cole steps down as CFO. Both of them give up their voting rights. They are out. Completely. If you do not vote them out right now, I will keep the warehouse empty, and I will let Vance Shipping burn to the absolute ground. "You can't do this to us," Chloe suddenly screamed from the corner of the room. Everyone turned to look at the pretty, pale girl in the pink dress. Chloe was standing up, tears pouring down her cheeks. She ran over and grabbed Liam's arm, burying her face against his shoulder. "She is just jealous, Liam," Chloe cried, pointing a shaking finger at Esther. "She is a thief. She pushed me down the stairs. She's just trying to steal your company because she is a bad, evil person. Don't let her do this." Liam wrapped his arm around Chloe, glaring at Esther. "You hear that? You are a sick, twisted bitch. You are doing all of this just because you are jealous of Chloe. You want to ruin us because we actually love her." Esther just stared at them. They looked pathetic. 2 days ago, those words would have broken her heart. Now, they just made her want to laugh. Esther looked back at Jin, who was standing quietly by the door. She nodded her head once. Jin reached into his dark suit jacket and pulled out a thick stack of papers. He walked around the large glass table, dropping a copy of the papers in front of every single board member. Then, he dropped the thickest stack right in front of Liam. "What is this?" the gray-haired man asked, putting on his reading glasses. "That is a bank statement from a secret account in the Cayman Islands," Esther explained, her voice ringing out loud and clear. "The account belongs to a fake shell company named Blue Ocean Consulting, but if you look at the signature on the second page, you will see exactly who owns it." Liam quickly flipped to the second page. His eyes scanned the paper. He froze. He looked down at Chloe, who was suddenly very quiet. Her face had turned entirely white. It's signed by Chloe," Liam muttered, sounding confused. He looked back up at Esther. "What does this mean?" "It means your sweet, innocent little sister is a massive criminal," Marcus said, with a loud, cruel laugh from the back of the room. Esther took a step closer to Liam. "Look at the deposits, Liam. Look where the money came from. For the last 2 years, Chloe has been moving money from the Vance Charity Fund into that secret account. She stole $4.2 million meant for homeless children so she could buy designer bags and secret properties. I found the missing money on Monday. I was trying to bring you the files to prove it. That is why she faked falling down the stairs. She needed you to throw me out before I could expose her. No, Chloe screamed, her voice completely losing its sweet tone. It sounded harsh and ugly. She is lying. She made those papers up. Liam, you have to believe me. But Liam was not looking at Chloe. He was staring at the numbers on the paper. The dates matched perfectly with the days the charity fund always seemed to come up short. He looked at Cole. Cole was staring at his copy of the papers, his face completely pale. Cole was the money guy. He knew real bank statements when he saw them. Chloe, Cole whispered, looking at her with total disgust. You stole from the kids. I didn't, Chloe yelled, stepping away from them. She looked around the room wildly, realizing nobody was going to protect her. It was just a mistake. I was going to put it back. You put $4 million in the Cayman Islands by mistake, Esther asked, her voice dripping with poison. You really are stupid. The gray-haired board member stood up. He looked furious. This is a total disgrace. Stealing charity funds is a federal crime. This company is already drowning, and now we have a massive fraud scandal on our hands. Liam, you put her in charge of that fund. I didn't know, Liam yelled, holding his hands up. I swear to God, I had no idea she was taking the money. It does not matter if you knew, Esther said coldly. You are the CEO. It happened under your watch. You protected a thief, and you threw away the only person who actually kept this company running. Now you are going to pay the price. Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors opened again. Thomas, the nervous head of security, stepped into the room. Behind him stood 4 city police officers. Mr. Vance, Thomas said quietly, looking at the floor. These officers are here with an arrest warrant. A tall police officer walked past Thomas. He looked directly at Chloe. Chloe Vance, we have a warrant for your arrest on charges of grand theft and corporate fraud. Put your hands behind your back. Chloe completely lost her mind. She started screaming and crying, backing away until she hit the wall. Liam, save me. Call your lawyers. Don't let them take me. The officers didn't care. 2 of them grabbed her arms, spinning her around and slapping heavy metal handcuffs on her wrists. The sound of the metal clicking shut echoed loudly in the quiet room. Liam took a step forward, his hands shaking. Officer, wait. We can clear this up. I will post her bail right now. Esther laughed. With what money, Liam? The company accounts are frozen because of the lawsuits. Your personal accounts are tied up in the failed warehouse deal. You don't have $10 to your name right now. You are broke. Liam stopped walking. He looked at Esther. The reality of his situation finally hit him right in the face. He had nothing. He had chosen the fake, crying girl, and she had destroyed him. Chloe screamed curses at Esther as the police dragged her out of the room. Her expensive pink dress dragged on the floor. The heavy doors shut behind them, cutting off her screams. The room was totally silent again, except for the heavy sound of the rain hitting the large glass windows. Esther looked at the board members. You have my offer. I lease you the warehouse and the company survives, but Liam and Cole are done. The gray-haired man did not even hesitate. All in favor of removing Liam and Cole Vance from their positions, raise your hand. Every single older man in the room raised his hand. Liam just stood there. His shoulders dropped. He looked like all the air had been let out of him. He slowly looked up at Esther. There were real tears in his eyes now. Not angry tears, but tears of deep, heavy regret. Esther, please, Liam whispered, his voice cracking. We made a mistake. We are sorry. We are your brothers. No, Esther said, her voice hard as a rock. You lost the right to call me your sister the second you let me freeze in that alley. Gather your things and get out of my building. She didn't wait for him to respond. She turned around and walked toward the doors. Hyun-woo, Jin, and Marcus stepped aside to let her pass, then followed her out into the quiet, carpeted hallway. When the doors shut behind them, Esther stopped walking. Her whole body suddenly started to shake. The anger that had been keeping her standing for the last 3 days was suddenly gone, leaving her feeling totally empty and exhausted. She leaned against the wall, taking a deep, shaky breath. Hyun-woo stepped up right in front of her. He reached out, resting his large, warm hand on the side of her neck. His thumb slowly rubbed across her pulse. "You did it," Hyun-woo said softly. "You burned them down." Esther looked up into his dark eyes. "Why don't I feel happy?" "Because revenge doesn't make you happy," Hyun-woo answered honestly. He leaned down, pressing his forehead gently against hers. "It just makes you even. Happiness comes next." The elevator ride down to the lobby was completely silent. Esther stood in the middle of the small metal box, staring straight ahead at the silver doors. Her breathing was slow and deep. Beside her, Hyun-woo stood like a giant shadow. His physical presence was so large and warm, it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Jin and Marcus stood behind them, giving them space. When the doors slid open, the lobby was still a mess of panicked workers, but Esther did not stop to look at them. She walked straight through the massive glass doors and out into the freezing Seattle rain. The heavy, armored black SUV was waiting at the curb. The driver quickly opened the back door. Esther climbed inside, and Hyun-woo slid in right next to her. The door slammed shut, cutting off the loud sounds of the wind and the traffic. Esther leaned her head back against the soft leather seat. She closed her eyes for just a second. "Take us home," Hyun-woo told the driver. The SUV pulled away from the curb smoothly. The rain hit the dark windows in heavy sheets. Esther opened her eyes and looked down at her hands. They were resting on her lap, perfectly still. She wasn't shaking anymore. She felt an odd sense of peace settling into her bones. Hyun-woo reached over. He did not ask for permission. He just took her right hand and placed it on his knee, covering it with his own large hand. His skin was rough and warm. "You did perfectly," Hyun-woo said, his voice low and rumbling in the quiet car. "You did exactly what you needed to do." "Liam looked so small," Esther whispered, turning her head to look at Hyun-woo. "For my whole life, he was the biggest, loudest person in the room. He controlled everything. What I wore, where I worked, who I talked to, but today he just looked like a scared little boy." "Because a bully is only big when you let him step on you," Hyun-woo replied. His dark eyes searched her face. "You stood up, and when you stood up, you proved that you were the giant all along." Esther felt a hot flush spread across her chest. She had spent her entire life trying to be invisible, trying to be useful just so her brothers would keep her around. She had never felt big. She had never felt powerful. But looking into Hyun-woo's eyes, she saw a reflection of a woman she actually wanted to be. A woman who commanded a room. A woman who did not take shit from anyone. Are you loving seeing Esther step into her power and leave her toxic family behind? Don't just cross your fingers and ask for a part 2 in the comments. Please leave a like if you are enjoying the video, as it helps the algorithm push more stories like this to you. Also, tell us what you would have said to Liam in the comments below. Join the exclusive Timeless K-Love membership on Gumroad, where you don't just ask for the next chapter, you demand it. Our members call the shots and decide which cliffhangers get resolved first. Support the channel by grabbing me a coffee or becoming a member through the link below, and take control of the romance. "What happens now?" Esther asked softly. "Now," Hyun-woo smiled slightly. "Now we go back to the penthouse. We pour a very expensive glass of whiskey, and we watch the news as the whole city talks about the new queen of Vance shipping." "I don't want to be queen just to sit on a throne," Esther said quickly. She sat up straighter. "We need to fix the mess Liam made. The warehouse district is ours, but the cargo ships are still sitting on the water. I need to call the port authority and get those ships docked tonight. The warehouse needs to be prepped. The workers need to be scheduled for overtime." Jin leaned forward from the front passenger seat, looking back at her. "You just fired the CEO and watched your sister get dragged away in handcuffs. You can take one night off, Esther." "No," Esther said, her voice turning firm. "If those electronics get ruined by the humidity, the company still loses $30 million. Liam's mistake will become my mistake. I am not going to let the regular workers lose their jobs because my brother is a stupid asshole. I need a laptop the second we get back." Marcus let out a loud laugh from the third row of the SUV. Damn, Hyun-woo, she works harder than you do. Hyun-woo did not laugh. He looked at Esther with a dark, intense look of pure respect. He slowly lifted her hand and pressed his lips against her knuckles. The touch of his warm mouth sent a wild shock of electricity straight to her heart. Whatever you need, Hyun-woo promised against her skin. I will make sure you get it. When they arrived back at the penthouse, the sun was starting to set, turning the gray clouds outside a deep, dark purple. The living room was warm, the giant fireplace already burning brightly. Esther didn't even take off her dark red suit jacket. She walked straight to the kitchen island, opened her laptop, and went to work. For the next 3 hours, she was a machine. She called the harbor master and used her new warehouse papers to secure emergency docking rights for the 3 massive cargo ships. She called the union boss for the dockworkers and offered them double pay to work through the night and unload the shipping containers. Hyun-woo, Jin, and Marcus sat in the living area, drinking dark liquor and watching her work. They did not interrupt her. They just watched her operate with a level of skill and speed that completely shamed her brothers. By 9 o'clock at night, Esther finally hit the end call button on her phone. She closed the laptop with a loud click and let out a long, heavy breath. It's done, Esther said, rubbing her tired eyes. The ships are docking right now. The cargo is safe. The clients have been emailed. We saved the contracts. Marcus raised his glass in the air. To Esther, the woman who just saved an entire company in 3 hours. Jin clapped slowly, a real smile on his face. Hyun-woo stood up from the leather couch. He picked up a fresh glass of whiskey and walked over to the kitchen island. He set the glass down right in front of her. Drink, he ordered softly. You earned it. Esther picked up the heavy glass. The dark liquid burned her throat, but it tasted like victory. She leaned against the cold marble counter, looking at the man standing in front of her. Hyun-woo had taken off his suit jacket and tie hours ago. His white dress shirt was unbuttoned at the top, showing the dark ink of his chest tattoo. He looked so relaxed, so comfortable, but there was always a dangerous, coiled energy under his skin. Marcus and Jin are going out, Hyun-woo said quietly, not taking his eyes off her. We are, Marcus asked from the couch. Jin quickly elbowed Marcus in the ribs. Yes, we are. We have to go check on the downtown clubs. We will be back late. Marcus rubbed his side, grumbling a little, but he stood up and grabbed his coat. Right, the clubs. Have a good night, Esther. Good job today. The front door opened and shut, leaving Esther and Hyun-woo completely alone in the massive penthouse. The only sound was the soft crackle of the fire and the rain hitting the glass windows. Hyun-woo stepped closer. He reached out and gently took the empty whiskey glass from her hand, setting it aside on the counter. He took another step, trapping her between his wide body and the marble island. You are incredible, Hyun-woo murmured. His voice was thick and deep. I have watched a lot of people try to take power. Most of them break under the pressure. But you didn't break. You turned into steel. Esther looked up at his face. She could see the faint, thin scars running along his jawline. She slowly lifted her hand and gently traced one of the scars with her finger. I broke a long time ago, Esther whispered, her voice shaking slightly. Liam and Cole made sure of that. I just finally decided to stop letting them sweep my pieces under the rug. Hyun-woo caught her hand. He held her fingers tightly against his scarred cheek. I will never sweep you away, Esther. I see every single piece of you, and I want them all. He didn't wait for her to answer. He leaned down and pressed his lips hard against hers. Esther gasped softly, grabbing the front of his white shirt. The kiss was not sweet or gentle. It was demanding, possessive, and hungry. Hyun-woo wrapped his thick arms around her waist and lifted her right off the floor. Esther wrapped her legs around his hips, holding onto his wide shoulders as he carried her away from the kitchen. He walked down the dark hallway and pushed the door to his master bedroom open. The room was dark, lit only by the city lights shining through the window. He laid her down gently on the massive bed and followed her down, his heavy body pressing her into the soft mattress. Hyun-woo, she breathed, her hands sliding up into his thick, dark hair. Tell me to stop, and I will walk out that door right now, he whispered against her neck, his hot breath making her shiver. But if you don't tell me to stop, I am never going to let you go. You are mine now. I don't want you to stop, Esther said, pulling his face back down to hers. I am tired of being alone. He kissed her again, deeper this time. All the anger, the stress, and the fear of the last few days melted away in his heat. For the first time in her life, Esther felt completely safe. She was with a monster, but he was her monster, and he would tear the whole world apart to protect her. Across the city, in a cheap, dirty police station, the air smelled like stale coffee and sweat. Liam sat on a hard wooden bench in the waiting area. His expensive blue suit was wrinkled and stained with rain. His hair was a mess. He stared at the dirty tile floor, feeling like his chest was completely hollow. Cole walked through the double doors and sat down heavily next to him. Cole looked just as bad. Did you talk to the lawyers? Liam asked, his voice totally flat. Yeah, Cole rubbed his face with trembling hands. They dropped us, all of them. As soon as they heard the board voted us out, they knew we couldn't pay their retainer fees. We have exactly $4,000 across all of our personal checking accounts. Everything else is frozen by the bank because of the warehouse loan we tried to secure. Liam squeezed his eyes shut. $4,000. That won't even cover the rent on the penthouse next week. The penthouse is gone, Liam, Cole snapped, suddenly sounding angry. The company paid for the penthouse, and we don't work for the company anymore. We have to be completely out of the building by Monday. Fuck, Liam cursed, burying his face in his hands. How did this happen so fast? 2 days ago, we ran the biggest shipping line on the West Coast. We were untouchables. 2 days ago, you dragged our actual sister down the stairs and threw her in the trash to protect a thief, Cole said bitterly. Esther warned us. She told us Chloe was hiding something, but you wanted to play the big hero for the pretty adopted girl, and I was stupid enough to follow you. Don't put this all on me, Liam yelled, standing up. A few police officers looked over at him, but he didn't care. You voted to throw Esther out too. You signed the papers to lock her out of her trust fund. Before Cole could yell back, a tired-looking police officer walked up to them. Are you the Vance brothers? The officer asked, holding a clipboard. Yes, Liam said, quickly trying to fix his tie. We are here for Chloe Vance. We need to get her out. The officer looked at his notes. Chloe Vance is being charged with grand theft and wire fraud. Because she is a flight risk, the judge set her bail at $2 million. If you want to take her home tonight, you need to pay $200,000 in cash right now. Liam felt his stomach drop straight to the floor. $200,000. That's 10% of the total bail, the officer explained slowly, like Liam was stupid. Do you have it or not? Liam looked at Cole. Cole just shook his head slowly. No, Liam whispered. We don't have it. Then she stays in county jail until her trial, the officer said, turning around to walk away. Wait, Liam called out. Can I at least talk to her? Please, just 5 minutes. The officer sighed. 5 minutes, follow me. Liam followed the officer down a long, gray hallway lined with heavy metal doors. They stopped at a small visiting room with a glass wall dividing the table. Chloe was sitting on the other side of the glass. She looked awful. Her beautiful pink dress was dirty. Her perfect blonde hair was tangled and flat. When she saw Liam, she picked up the phone on the wall. Liam sat down and picked up his phone. Liam, Chloe cried, fresh tears pouring down her face. Get me out of here. This place is disgusting. The women in my cell are scary. They keep looking at me. Pay the money and take me home right now. Liam felt a sick feeling rise in his throat. He looked at the girl he had protected over his own blood. I can't, Chloe. I don't have the money. Chloe stopped crying instantly. Her face went completely blank. What do you mean you don't have the money? You are a billionaire. Not anymore, Liam said, his voice cracking. Esther and her new partners bought all the company's stock when it crashed. The board voted me and Cole out. We lost our jobs. We lost our accounts. We don't even have an apartment to sleep in tonight. We have nothing. Chloe stared at him through the thick glass. The sweet, innocent look on her face completely melted away. It was replaced by a hard, ugly sneer. "You lost the company?" Chloe asked, her voice dropping the high, sweet pitch she always used. "You let that ugly bitch take your money." Liam was shocked. "Chloe, what are you saying?" She showed them the bank papers. "You really stole the money from the kids, didn't you?" "Of course I did," Chloe snapped, slamming her hand against the glass. "You guys are idiots. You have millions of dollars and you just let it sit in a stupid charity fund. I deserved that money. I had to pretend to like you boring losers for 5 years. I earned every single dollar." Liam felt like he had been punched directly in the chest. He couldn't breathe. You faked the whole thing. You faked falling down the stairs." "It was so easy," Chloe laughed, a nasty, cruel sound. "Esther was getting too close. I needed her gone. And you are so stupid, Liam. You didn't even look at the files she brought you. You just believed me because I cried. You are the dumbest man I have ever met." "I loved you," Liam whispered, tears burning his eyes. "I chose you over my own sister." "Well, that was your mistake, broke boy," Chloe sneered. "Now get out of here. If you can't pay my bail, you are completely useless to me. Call a real lawyer and tell them to come see me. And don't ever come back." She slammed the phone down on the hook, turned around, and walked back to the metal door. She didn't look back once. Liam sat there with the phone still pressed to his ear. The dial tone buzzed loudly in his brain. He slowly lowered the phone. He looked at his shaking hands. Esther was right. She was right about everything. She had worked herself to the bone for him, and he had thrown her into the freezing rain for a snake who just wanted his money. Now, the snake was in a cage, and he was completely alone in the cold.